Hey guys, it's the Beyond the Mic. Today we will be looking at 5 true scary stories. The first story is about the vanishing hitchhiker. Picture a dark, stormy night. You're driving down a winding road, the only illumination coming from your headlights and the occasional flash of lightning. Suddenly, a figure appears in the road, a young woman drenched from the storm, thumbs outstretched. You stop, driven by a mix of concern and curiosity. She climbs into your car, whispering an address before falling silent. As you drive, you attempt small talk, but she remains eerily quiet. Upon reaching the address, you turn to let her know, but the back seat is empty. Confused and unnerved, you knock on the nearest door. An old woman answers, and upon hearing your story, her face turns pale. She reveals the woman you described as her daughter, who died on that very road over a decade ago. Every year, on the anniversary of her death, she's seen hitchhiking, only to vanish once she reaches her destination. This second story is about a haunted doll. Envision a charming antique doll, passed down through generations, its glassy eyes seeming to follow you around the room. After the doll enters your home, life takes a sinister turn. Objects start to move inexplicably. Chilling laughter is heard at night, and the doll is never where you left it. The family begins to feel a constant, unnerving watchfulness. The youngest child whispers of conversations with the doll after dark, speaking of secrets only an old soul would know. Research reveals a grim past. The doll belonged to a child who vanished under mysterious circumstances. The child's spirit, restless and seeking companionship, is said to inhabit the doll, binding itself to the toy in a perpetual echo of its former life. This third scary story is about the ghostly whispers. Imagine a group of friends, thrill seekers, deciding to explore an abandoned asylum at night. With flashlights in hand and cameras rolling, they venture into the decaying halls, graffiti and old medical equipment littering the rooms. They hear faint, inexplicable noises, whispers, shuffling feet, distant cries. Initially skeptical, they continue until their recording devices pick up clear, disembodied voices, speaking words of warning and distress. No one is seen, but the chilling whispers grow louder, more insistent. Fear grips them as they realize they're not alone. Later, reviewing the recordings, they hear a clear message: leave, never return. Local lore speaks of patients who suffered in the asylum, their spirits forever roaming its halls, eternally reliving their torment. This fourth scary story is about the phantom phone calls. Think of a world where the dead reach out through technology. A person starts receiving phone calls with an unknown number displayed. The voice on the other end is eerily familiar, a deceased relative, speaking in a tone both comforting and otherworldly. The calls come at the same time every night, sharing secrets and memories only known to the dead. The person is torn between fear and a longing to connect with the lost loved one. In desperation, they visit a medium who reveals a chilling truth. The calls are indeed from the beyond, a thin veil of reality allowing the deceased to communicate, but at a cost. Each call weakens the barrier between worlds, inviting other, less benevolent spirits to cross over. This fifth scary story is about a creepy stalker. Picture a woman living a normal life until she starts finding photographs of herself in her mailbox. Photos taken without her knowledge, showing her in her daily routines. Feeling a growing sense of paranoia, she contacts the police. The investigation uncovers a chilling fact. The photos are taken from angles impossible without access to her home or workplace. One night, she hears a noise inside her house. Armed with courage, she confronts the intruder, a figure she recognizes but can't place. The stalker is a person from her distant past, harboring an obsession that has grown into madness. He speaks of watching her, protecting her without her knowing, convinced they are destined to be together. The story ends with his arrest, but the woman is left forever looking over her shoulder, haunted by the feeling of unseen eyes upon her. The sixth scary story covers the mirror's reflection. Envision a vintage mirror purchased at an estate sale, an elegant yet ominous addition to a collector's home. The collector begins to notice something unsettling. Subtle movements in the reflection, shadows that don't align with the surroundings. As days pass, the reflection begins to distort, revealing scenes that seem otherworldly. In a moment of fear, the collector smashes the mirror, only to find that the disturbances persist. Seeking answers, they discover the mirror's origin. It once belonged to a notorious medium who used it as a portal for spirit communication. The spirits, once trapped, now roam freely, influencing the world through the shattered glass. Desperate to undo the haunting, the collector seeks the guidance of a paranormal expert, leading them on a journey to seal the spirits back within the mirror and break the otherworldly connection forged decades ago. The seventh scary story is about the shadow in the corner. Night after night, the dark humanoid figure in your room grows more distinct and menacing. Initially a mere silhouette, it now appears to have depth, a chilling three-dimensionality. Fear turns into obsession. You're determined to unravel the mystery. As you delve into the house's past, you learn of a series of unexplained disappearances linked to the room. Witnesses spoke of a similar shadow that seemed to feed on the fear and eventually the very essence of its victims. Paranormal investigators set up equipment, hoping to capture evidence. The recordings reveal a low, inhuman growl emanating from the shadow. On the third night, the equipment malfunctions mysteriously, and one of the investigators goes missing, leaving behind only a camera with its last footage, showing him being consumed by the shadow. The remaining team, terrified, refuses to continue the investigation. Desperate, you seek the help of a medium. During a seance, the medium becomes possessed, speaking in a guttural voice, proclaiming the shadow to be an ancient entity that exists between dimensions, feeding on human souls. The room turns icy cold as you feel an unseen force. The medium suddenly snaps back, warning you that the entity has marked you. The only way to rid yourself of it is to pass it to another, an act that would damn an innocent to your fate. The story ends with you lying awake, the shadow now almost touching your bed, its presence suffocating. You're faced with an impossible choice: sacrifice another, or be consumed by the darkness. The shadow whispers in a voice only you can hear, promising endless torment in its realm of shadows. The eighth scary story is about the unseen resident. The family's ordeal intensifies as the entity reveals its true power. Objects levitate, sinister voices echo through the house, and the child's imaginary friend becomes increasingly malevolent, causing physical harm. The psychic's research uncovers that the house is built over an ancient burial ground, and the entity is a guardian spirit twisted by the occult rituals of the former owner. The house seems to warp and change, corridors leading to impossible spaces, trapping the family within. In a terrifying encounter, they see a vision of the house's past, where the former owner conducts a ritual gone awry, binding the entity to the house. It becomes clear that the entity seeks to complete the ritual through the family. In a desperate bid for survival, they attempt to sever the connection by destroying the occult symbols hidden throughout the house. As they do so, the entity manifests physically, a horrific amalgamation of all its victims, including the former owner. The house shakes violently as if alive, the walls bleeding shadows. The climax sees the family, with the psychic's guidance, managing to barely close the portal. But as they flee the collapsing house, the entity, though weakened, latches onto the youngest child. The story concludes with the family safe but forever changed. The child, now eerily calm, reveals in a voice not their own that the entity remains with them, biding its time, waiting to reopen the portal and unleash its wrath upon the world. The house stands abandoned, a silent sentinel over the sealed portal, as whispers of the entity's malevolence echo in the wind. The ninth scary story shows the stillness of the night. In the stillness of the night, an eerie silence enveloped my house. I was alone, or so I thought. Suddenly, a series of chilling footsteps echoed through the dimly lit corridors, each step sending shivers down my spine. With cautious curiosity, I followed the sound, my senses on high alert. The haunting footsteps led me to the basement door, a place I rarely ventured. As I descended the creaky wooden stairs, the air became thick with an unsettling energy. The dim light bulb flickered ominously, casting long shadows that danced across the cold concrete floor. As I reached the bottom, the footsteps ceased, leaving me in an unsettling silence. In the corner of the room, an old, dusty music box lay forgotten. Its ornate design hinted at a bygone era, and the faded colors spoke of memories long past. I couldn't recall ever owning such a trinket. My gaze fixated on the mysterious music box when, suddenly, a haunting melody pierced the silence. The delicate tune mirrored the one my grandmother used to hum, a tune I hadn't heard since her passing. A shiver ran down my spine as the melody filled the basement and the air grew colder. In the midst of the ghostly music, a whisper barely audible echoed through the basement. It carried a name only my grandmother used to call me. Panic set in as the realization dawned that I was not alone. The basement seemed to hold a lingering presence, a spectral connection to a time long gone. Terrified, I fumbled for the basement light switch, but the moment my hand brushed against it, the music abruptly stopped. The oppressive silence returned, leaving me standing in the dark, breathless and unnerved. Reluctantly, I ascended the stairs, haunted by the inexplicable events in the basement. As I closed the door behind me, I couldn't shake the feeling that something lingered in the shadows, a presence from the other side, reaching out through the music of an old, forgotten box. That will be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video.